Indian women are no less than superwomen who think they can play multiple characters. Indeed, they are. But do they themselves care about their emotions or spend their entire life serving other people? Other people also don't care for their personal needs. Even in kind, they are not paid for their work. It actually looks like it's their duty to do it without expecting anything from others. Sometimes all women want is an ear that listens to them. What if I tell you that there's a place for every woman to be heard without being judged? A place that allows you to share your story to the world, that inspires other women to have a chance to change their life in a beautiful way. Today, I have with me an initiator of one such tribe who has been guiding individuals and teams in India and abroad. First of all, I would like to welcome you, Miss Shobha Managoli, for taking out time and joining us for a brand new episode of the Changemakers of Mentogram. To start
Thank,
off,
thank you, thank you.
what is Tribes of Women all about? How did you come with such an initiative?
Okay, so Tribes of Women is basically a peer-led virtual platform where women come together and they can talk, share, or interact with other women across different age groups. So it helps them to understand uh, the different challenges each age group faces. It helps them to understand and connect and resonate with each other. Now, this idea of Tribes of Women started during the pandemic last year, where as a professional mental health professional, I found that many women were seeking a place to just talk because they were at home. They felt very suffocated. Felt stuck. So we started this initiative as a sent a kind of invitation to friends and family, and suddenly a huge number of women joined the initiative and they started kind of speaking, and it became a weekly affair from May 2021. By November 2021, we had heard enough stories, we had heard enough challenges, we had heard enough issues. Many women were able to take decisions. We found that the whole style of women sharing, caring, and in the process learning was actually working. Okay, so then we thought, okay, it's a nice time, and so the three of us joined, and it's very interesting. We two of us who had started, me and Anita Raja, taking it forward and facilitating. Two more women who were mental health professional, part of the initial phase, actually showed more interest and said they would like to join, and hence we became a group of four. So by default, the tribe just automatically grew. And in November, we went back to the drawing, as they say, the corporate language, the drawing board, and we started figuring out what can we do. And it is from there that Tribes of Women came up. And we realized that what we are actually doing in Tribes of Women is harnessing the wisdom every woman holds within themselves. Whether it is an 18-year-old or an 85-year-old doesn't matter. Through life experiences, each woman has a wisdom, and that wisdom needs to be shared. But it needs to be shared in an interactive, narrative manner. So we said, okay, so since we are harnessing, we thought we would like to call the Tribes of Women. Also, Tribes of Women, the word tribe comes because tribe is where most of the time collective wisdom is always shared, and it is not the proprietorship, the word that we use, intellectual property right or proprietorship, is not of one person. It belongs to the group or to the tribe. So that's why we started calling it the Tribes of Women, because we want to bring out the collective wisdom, share, learn, and women can go forward. And hence in February 2022, we launched Tribes of Women as an initiative. And we started with what we were continuing. We continue to start what we were doing, which is I would say, our flagship program, which really takes great courage for women to enroll, called My Zone, Speaking the Unspeakable. Now, this is a place where you can speak anything that comes to your mind in terms of your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings, your issues, your challenges, without feeling judged, without feeling that you may be ridiculed, without being humiliated, but always having a listening ear, and always somebody or the other giving a different perspective to what you're sharing. And it is through this that, slowly the Tribes of Women kind of started establishing itself. So that's how Tribes of Women started, and that was the first campaign that we started.
Wow, so this is such a lovely story behind the actual Tribes of Women, that it started as a community of women to hear them, to understand each other, and now it's running so beautifully. It has come up with an initiative of learning, caring, sharing, and everything positive. So this is the beauty of Tribes of Women. Okay. So, if I take you back to the past, as of now, you have an experience of more than 3 decades, and lot of things have changed over the years. So, how are the initial years of your career?
The initial years of my career, I think, were a combination of, I would say, easy and tough. The easy, because I started my journey as a mental health professional in Rajasthan, Jodhpur. So, and in 1991, so I think you can need to imagine that time mental health initiatives were very unheard of things, and you went to a psychiatrist only when it was a dire necessity and you were unable, and there were only few psychiatrists practicing in Jodhpur at that point of time. So I started at that point of time, and I think the first reaction as a woman I got is, why do women or men come, get into a room, are there inside for 1 hour, and what happens? And I said, what happens is conversation. Like, what is there to talk for 1 hour? So these were some of the, I think they were not very open about saying it, but I think deep inside many people had, till by default, the people who were saying this, their family had issues, and their family members came to me, and then they got their problems sorted out, and they found some, breakthrough or transformation or minor changes, that they realized that actually conversations, actually dialogues, actually things happen.
That was the mindset of the people. That
mindset of the people. But I think I was lucky to have very supportive women also in the form of my own mother, in the form of one or two of her neighbors who were highly educated, who felt, you have done your MPhil from NIMHANS, this is good. And I think in the form of some of my friends who understood the value of what I was doing. So I think all put together was the good part, that I could actually manure. And then I was also working in a school. So because of which I met a lot of different kinds of people. I met the trustees of the school trust and all. All this put together made it very, very clearer that people started realizing that, okay, when she says something, she means it. It's not like, she's saying something and doing something. So I think that integrity and all slowly set in. It took 6 to 8 months, but I think once it started, then people started trickling in, and I started, having my private practice and my other things going forward. Honestly, if you ask now, not much has changed. Even in Bangalore, I've heard these sentences. So I think majority of the people have changed. At least in Bangalore, a lot of people now understand what it is. Majority of the people have changed, but still there is a group which still feels, what is the use of talking? And I think talking and change happening is still, people are unable to connect the two unless it's coming from like a guru or a Swamiji. But yeah, beyond that, people think talking to a stranger, we are still looked as a stranger. Talking to a stranger, how can it help?
Yeah. So like you were telling, you were lucky enough to have a family member, to have a woman in your life as your mother, as your neighbors. So yeah, lucky are people who actually have such kind of family, who are there to support you, who are there to encourage you and let you know, to trust you that whatever you are doing is right. They don't trust the surroundings that are gossiping about their children, gossiping about what they are doing, why are they doing it, because they have never been able to do that, so they question others. Okay. So like you said, a lot of things have not yet changed, which is quite what we say, quite something that we do not hear of, because people keep on changing. Yeah, within a span of 3 decades, a lot of things have changed. This happened, but you stayed grounded to that particular thing, and that was something the beauty of this beauty of your work that you were doing. Okay, so I would like to ask you one more thing. Since you choose psychology for your post graduation, I read about it. So I feel you have had an interest in human behavior. What made you choose a paper on something like stammering?
Okay. I think I have always been very interested in conversations and communications. Right. So I always felt that anything can be solved, anything can happen if you can have a dialogue. And I'm a firm believer of that. Okay. So when I started seeing that there are some people who have ideas within themselves but are unable to express because they have this challenge of and what we call as stammering. Okay, then I realized that there has to be something that needs to be done as a part of an intervention where we can help them to overcome so that they can share with the world what are the feelings, what are the thoughts, what are the opinions that they hold inside. So stammerer does not necessarily mean he or she does not have the intellect or he does not have feeling. It's just that they are finding it difficult to express. So keeping this in mind, I chose stammering, and since I also wanted to get into what we call as intervention mode, like I wanted to actually create a program that can help stammering, I chose stammering as my dissertation for MPhil. And I think the dissertation, I could create a program which could help at least mild levels to moderate levels of people who stammer to overcome it.
Okay, okay. Stammering is something that people still talk about, that this is a human behavior, and why is this person talking like that? Why? So that was a very unique subject that you chose during those days. I don't feel it would have been as easy as it is today to talk about, because things were quite different when we talk about those times.
Yes. Those times, because now a lot more niche areas have come up. I see a lot of the youngsters actually entering into very, very different fields, very, very different areas like the LGBT, trauma focused, right? And open conversations and dialogues on this. But these are issues we have directly or indirectly handled, like maybe one or two clients here and there. And that was an exception. Now, conversations on this have become like a rule. Like you end up having conversations around this. So I think every generation there will be a new area of human behavior that will suddenly explode, and somebody will just get interested into it and work. My time, I think for me, it was stammering.
Okay. Wow. So, okay, you believe in reaching the unreached through the reached. This is something that many people might get confused with, reaching the unreached through the reached. If I relate this statement with your life, how far have you reached the unreached?
I would say I've reached and I've yet to reach. If you have to put it both ways. So reaching the unreached basically has metaphorical at a very, very what we call as transactional level. It means going and working with those population with whom you have not worked before. Okay, so for example, I have when I was in Jodhpur, I was only in Jodhpur, which was I was in a city. I've not gone to a village. I've not gone to a tier 2, tier 3 city, a nearby, small hamlet, and worked there. Okay, so at a very transactional level, reaching the unreached means going to those levels. And I have gone and worked in a school in Sargur, which is in the tribal area. Okay, which is run, all the children who come there, which is from Bangalore. It's closer to Mysore there, but the children who come there come from the tribes, and it's a very, very different culture. It's a very, very different style of functioning and working. The children, even their behaviors are very different. So that way, transactionally, I've been able to reach. I've worked with NGOs where I have traveled to different cities. I have traveled to different taluks. I have traveled to some villages also. I have worked in projects where women from villages have come down to Bangalore under a project. They were, they were asked to come to Bangalore, and we worked with them. So that is at a very transactional level, reaching the unreached. So I reach the unreached through the reached means people who have connect with them, who can take me there. So the NGO was my reached, because I could only go to the NGO and then unreached. So even today now I'm working with, I've just got associated with another NGO in Bangalore called Abhyudaya, which runs 160 learning centers. And that 160 learning center caters to 4,000 students. So Abhyudaya is for me the reached, and the unreached are the 4,000 students. And through Abhyudaya only I can reach the 4,000 students. Shobha as a person can never reach the 4,000 students, right? So that's the beauty. And Tribes of Women also is playing a role because two of the tribers are taken up the initiative to work with this NGO and do a curriculum on STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and maths curriculum, and help them create activities to make those concepts easier for them to learn. So, Tribes of Women has also got associated because I could reach out and they were the reached ones. At a very metaphoric or symbolic level, reaching the unreached for me also means that with every client, every group, can I go to that unreached place in their mind, the unconscious mind, and identify what they want, resonate with what they want, and then from there create programs, create interventions, or create plans by which we can help them to overcome it. So, reaching the unreached through the reached thus has two different meanings for me over the years. And this is something that's been given to me by my professor when I asked him, what should I really be doing in 1991? And this is what he said: Shobha, you can reach the unreached. And I think that became the philosophy of my life. When I started doing that, I realized that I can't reach directly. I need to reach through somebody else. So I then said, okay, reaching the unreached through the reached. So that is the intent of that phrase.
Okay. So it's like you help three people, and those three people, you ask them to help other three people. So it's like all connected. You keep you ask other people to help them because you directly can't reach a lot of people.
Yeah, and I can still reach also like a lot of people, because the three who are helping will once in a while also call me to talk to those people.
Yeah.
Like I will just take this NGO example. I am working with the 100 teachers of the center, of the 160 learning centers. Okay, but when I'm training them, I'm also going one of those days going to some of the trainings, learning centers, and interact directly with the students also. So I will have access to both. So it works in multiple, but yeah, it's more like train a niche group and then they can go further, and then they can go further. And that's the plan that I use most of the time.
Okay. So that's how you wanted to reach the unreached. This is lovely. Okay. So I have a question related to, I read one like you were awarded for, like I talked about stammering. So there was also one thing related to human resource. So you were awarded in the field of human resource. So is psychology and human resource somehow related?
Okay, so I was not awarded for human resource. It's called the Janaseva Award because I was working in the slums and with an NGO. And I did a lot of work in a particular slum in Bangalore through an NGO, and I used to go there. I used to walk inside the slums, walk inside the houses. I did a lot of campaigns for them to bring awareness on motherhood, prenatal issues, working with the youth on skill development. So there was a lot of work that I did in that particular field. So I think I worked there for quite a few years. 3 to 4 years is what I remember. I worked in that with that group, and along with that, I was also working with many other practically working with other NGOs also. So Greenpeace Foundation found that since I was working and I was working for people, they gave me the Jan Seva Award. So it is coming from that perspective that she works with people to change. She works with people to transform, and hence she needs to be acknowledged. So that's where that thing. So it is not so much like the corporate human resource. It's more from the perspective of serving the people. So that's why the award itself is called Jana Seva Award.
Okay. Jan Seva Award. Yeah. Actually, I was not very much familiar with it, but I thought this, I had this curiosity that was it somehow related to your work? And in the end, yeah, because you were helping the people in the slum, which is really appreciable, what we would say. And like the work you have been doing is quite amazing. from psychology to helping people in slum, doing everything. You have a lot of experience in something that many people would feel like, yeah, they need to have a motive like this, have a life like this to help other people, to serve other people. Okay, so like I said, I really appreciate and encourage what you do. But reaching to the end of the podcast, if I was to ask you, what do you love most about it? So what would you say?
The thing that I love most is that one moment which comes in our interaction where somebody has come to us with a challenge. So very typically, I would probably narrate an incident, and that would help. So my mother used to always find it very odd that why people come to me and why do they want to talk to me. Like, you can talk to anybody. So once I had a client, and that point of time I had just started in Jodhpur my private practice. So I didn't have a place. I used to do it at home. So there was this one client who had come who was crying excessively. Then the client came inside my room. I did whatever I had to do, and then the client calmed down. And when she walked out, she was smiling. Okay. So my mother is like, okay, she was crying. She goes inside and she stops crying. She smiles and then she pays you. Like, what happens? So I think what happens is the challenge that keeps motivating me. Like, what can happen more? What can happen more in the life? And when I see that change, when I see that moment where they achieve something, when I see the moment where my clients do something differently, when I just feel highly motivated, excited, and I think more passionate to kind of do more thing. So I think it's that one, like we call it the tipping point. It is the tipping point in the life of the client that changes them, and it is that tipping point when I can see it, it gives great sense of purpose of life. And so then all the odds and events that are available around us doesn't make, are like nothing. It's okay. We can still do more. We can still do more. And I think that's the journey that continues. And through that, I identify different trends. And I think as my professional life moved on from there. So that's where it is.
Yeah. Sometimes all you need is this.
Yes.
So I don't feel like ending this podcast, because I feel like I can learn so much from you. The audience can learn so much from you, from your experiences, from the work that you have been doing. So if I was to ask you one last question, do you have anything to say before parting ways with our audience to let our listeners inspire them?
I have, So I have always strongly believed that if your passion becomes your vocation, then you are on a lifelong vacation. I think that. So first and foremost, just identify, because if your passion is your vocation, like I like talking to people, I like having conversation, I like dialogue, that's my life. Then I don't feel the need for holidays or vacation, because every time I'm not working, I am just fulfilling my passion. Yeah, I need breaks, which is different. Then you say, oh my god, I'm fed up with work and I need a vacation. I don't have those. When I go for vacation also, if there are calls, I will attend to those calls, because it's just part of me. So my parting thing is that first identify your passion. What is it that you would love to do and which you feel is the purpose of your life? And once you have identified that, go and just unleash it and work on that area, and you will really find things falling in place. Don't let anxieties and uncertainties of what others say from a vitamin M, that is money perspective or respect perspective or anything, bring you down. Because if 1991 in Rajasthan I could start a clinic as a clinical psychologist and as a woman, I think nothing matters, because you can face. So your passion helps you, gives you the energy to face. So my parting comment would be very simple: make your passion your vocation, then you'll always be on a lifelong vacation and nothing bothers you.
Lovely. And this is something that many successful people say, that if you follow your passion, you are there on the right direction, and you're going to achieve everything that you want. You're going to love your work, you are
Yeah,
going to have name, fame, everything. That's what
exactly,
matters. Just follow your passion, what your heart says.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
what's the moral of this story? There are times when people don't need advice. There are times when nothing really matters, but a hand to hold, an ear to listen, and a heart to understand. Like Tribes of Women is helping so many people, we can help each other. On that note, I would like to end this episode of The Changemakers of Mentogram. Stay tuned for more such inspiring stories until the next episode. I am your host, Pratiksha.